Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, Melanie. How are you?
I am not doing too bad today, not feeling as good as I usually do, but I am getting through. The sun is
Good.
helping. Yes.
Yes,
How are
it
you?
does, doesn't it?
Yeah. How are you doing today?
Good, good. Actually, it was a beautiful morning again, and so I like to take advantage of that and putz around in the garden.
Yeah.
So
How's
it
your
was
garden
nice.
doing?
It's good. The raspberries, everything's been late, right? So
Yes.
I've been really nurturing it along, watching it. So I think things are starting to come up. The raspberries are starting. There's been lots of bees activities around the flowers and the vegetables, so that's always a good sign, right?
Beautiful. Yes.
Yeah.
I've noticed that especially because of this 3 month or actually almost 4 month quarantine, I'm really getting delight in looking at people's flowers and
Oh, yes.
trees and,
Yeah.
just all the growth and all the life that's happening around us in our neighborhoods. I just love that.
Color, everything's so vibrant. Have you noticed that? So
Yes.
I think because people are spending particular attention to their gardens, right? And
Yes.
they see the same thing we see, the beauty in it, right? And how
Yes.
you feel about, yeah, I think it's such a great time of year.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
nothing more that I love than going for a walk and just checking out everyone's flower beds in my neighborhood and
Oh, yeah, me too.
yeah, trying to guess
Yeah.
the type of flower that it is
Yeah.
or yeah.
And sharing, so there's been a couple times where we've shared flowers and plants with
Oh,
people, given away
nice.
some. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually did that for the first time this year too. I gave away some of my lilies to my friend.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. We have lots of lilies. They're so beautiful.
They're so beautiful and so
Yeah.
easy to grow.
Yes.
Hardy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm
It's
glad
been
to hear
good.
it. Steve, I wanted to talk a little bit about something today that, not all folks are going to be ready to hear, ready to think about. And so I just want to give a little hint about what we're talking about and then, invite people to keep listening or to just,
Yeah.
stop the video and come back at another time when they feel more ready. The topic that I wanted to talk about today is about making meaning out of suffering. Meaning that, over this last 4 months, this season of suffering that we've had, taking a look at what we've learned or how we've benefited, the positive parts of the suffering that we've gone through. So, the thing is that I don't want to minimize anyone's pain or anyone's struggle. So if anyone is feeling like they're not ready for that, they're feeling like they need to just continue to be and process through the difficult feelings, the difficult situations, then please, don't feel like you have to keep watching. Please don't take this in a negative way. Just, absolutely know that it's okay to shut the video off and come back
Hmm.
if and when it feels right for you. But for those folks who are ready, I want to just take a moment to think about how suffering can grow us, can bring us to a new place of strength, of self-knowing, of, gratitude, and a new connection to not only, people in our world, but the world itself.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yes.
So I just want to ask people, to think about in this time of difficulty, when so much was taken from us, when so much was lost, I mean, even just the freedom to leave our houses was no longer available to us. What did you learn about yourself? How did you manage to keep putting one foot in front of the other and keep moving through the pandemic? How did you manage to be isolated from your normal social contacts? Maybe losing a job, not even being able to go to the grocery store whenever you needed to. We were told to just try to go once a week.
Hmm.
And so even in the midst of all of that, my suggestion or encouragement to people is reflecting on what helped you get through. What did you learn about yourself? What strengths came up for you that you didn't even know you had? They were just tucked in your back pocket, and all of a sudden, they were helping you get through one of the toughest times that our generation has ever been through. Was there anything for you, Stephen, that you learned while you were going
Oh,
through this last 4 months?
I think I think last 4 months, well, I think part of it dealing with it is that I really had to focus on the positive things that were occurring in my life and that I had in my life. No
Yes.
matter how small or insignificant they were before, now they've become even more important. I pay more attention. So, um,
Yes.
freedom to move about, I always kind of took for granted. And I think now I just truly appreciate it. Um, there was a variety of different things. My relationships with people, focused on those. I reconnected with a lot of people because I had the time to do it. But
Nice.
the message to these people is that they were really, really important. And I think in times of stress like this, the last 4 months, I think that really opened up a lot of people's eyes about relationships, both family and friends.
Yeah.
It's impacted on me and my family. We spent way more time together. But it's also been I think all those activities I just talked about actually felt really positive in it. They felt like they were the right thing to do intuitively.
Yeah.
I just automatically gravitated towards that. So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of positives in regards to, checking with my emotions, how I'm feeling, recognizing that it's okay to be stressed, because you mentioned that this is a crisis that our generation has never ever seen before. And actually previous generations probably haven't seen it either.
Right.
I mean, this has really opened up my eyes to a lot of different things in my life that I took for granted.
Yeah.
And I think that's I think that's a positive, though. I mean, it's made me a better person coming out the end.
Yes. So what I hear you saying, and what it brings to mind for me, is that as our world shrunk, like our sphere, what we were
Yeah.
able to do and who we were able to connect with, as it shrunk, our eyes were opened to the beauty and the blessings that we had right within our reach.
Yes.
So rather than continuing to strive to, go to the best places or get the best watch or have the best outfit and, all those external things that we kind of, kept reaching for, and it was kind of getting out of control.
Yes.
We were forced to get smaller than that, to get more basic than that, and to really look at what do we already have in our world that we are blessed with, that we can be thankful for, or that we can grow. So
Yeah.
like you were saying, reaching out to people that you hadn't talked to for a while and growing those relationships that were right at your fingertips.
Yes.
You
Well,
know,
and I think you're absolutely right, and you can see it's happened all over the world to everyone that's been experiencing this. It doesn't matter if you're a Hollywood actress or actor, a famous musician. It doesn't really matter. Everyone's
yeah,
pretty well saying the same message. And
right.
for me, it's because it caused us to slow down.
Yes.
Everything slowed down, so we actually, I feel, had more time to reflect upon a lot of this.
Yes. And my
Right?
hope is that people reflected on who they were a little more. And even in the middle of the hardest days, we're able to reach inside and see, I am strong. I can do this. You know, this this is hard, but I've done hard things before.
Yeah.
And I've done it by, problem solving or taking a break for myself or connecting with somebody who could help me through or
Yeah.
reading some inspiring passages from a book or a collection of poetry. Something that kept them going. And then that becomes such a symbol of strength for them that people can use moving forward for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely. It's like a beacon that people can see all the time, no matter how traumatizing or
Yeah.
how stressful people are. They can see that beacon. They know that it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's for me. That's what helps me get it through, right? Because really, when you think about it, we have no idea what's going to happen in the future.
No idea.
And it made me realize that I shouldn't stress over about things that I don't know are going to occur because I
Yeah.
have no control. But I do have control over my everyday actions
Yes.
and my emotions and my engagement with people, good or bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not terribly. I think moving forward, if things open up a bit, I think that that's going to create a lot of stress in people's lives too, right?
Yeah.
So I've been thinking about how that's going to look and how I'm going to feel on that, and
Yeah.
right.
And so looking at those strengths that you've uncovered about yourself in the last 4 months and seeing how those gifts and skills can really keep moving you forward and keep moving through, even if it's tough again, even if
Yeah,
those dark days
absolutely.
come back.
Yes.
So some people have referred to this as a wake-up call. And my question to people is, what have you been woken up to? Have you been woken up to, how much more you care about the earth because it's had a bit of a rest and you've seen the beauty in the earth after, humans haven't been trampling on it for 4 months? Have you woken up to the beauty of your relationships, of people who you maybe took for granted in the past, and now you've really started to connect with them in a different way, in a way that is more about nourishing each other instead
Yes.
of just, what can you do for me today kind of thing? And Steve, I've heard you call the coronavirus a reset.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Actually, and that's the pause. I think it gives us time to pause, to
Yeah,
reflect upon how we're living.
yeah,
And so I think that key, when you talked about the world shrinking and then slowing down, and really slowing down and smelling the flowers and smelling the
yeah,
coffee, looking around thinking, okay,
yeah.
not everything is all bad because of this. There are some really good benefits, positive
That's
benefits.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's important to think about that too, right? Because it's so overwhelming, the negativity, it can wear you down.
yeah. So for me, I'm not quite sure yet what this pandemic has taught me or what it's uncovered for me that I didn't know before. Like, I'm still waiting to see what's coming out for me in terms of my skills, my strengths, my connections to the world, my connections to others. But one thing that it has been teaching me is exactly what we've been talking about. I'm starting to become more open to the possibility that suffering can be helpful in my life. Normally, I don't like to suffer. I just want it to be fixed. I want it to go away. I want to just avoid it as much as possible. But this, because I've not been able to get out of it, because there's so much that I can't control, I've really been pushed to open myself up to the learning, that the blessing that suffering can bring to my life. And so facing with honesty the difficulties that I have, so the anxiety that I have, the anger that I can have towards people when I'm feeling like I'm limited and I'm fearful and I'm not sure what's going to happen tomorrow. Opening myself up to seeing that as being a way that I'm actually learning how to deal, how to manage, how to cope with tough stuff, knowing that it's not going to end. We may never have another pandemic, and I do hope that we never do, but there's still going to be suffering in life. Life always brings us struggles. And
Mm-hmm.
opening myself to that and knowing that that is where the learning happens. I can't learn and grow if everything's just always hunky-dory in my life. Everything's just always going really great. What learning is there in that? Even as a child learns how to walk, he or she falls and stumbles and has to begin again. And that's what I'm trying to grasp and learn from this whole
Mm-hmm.
thing, is that I can fall down and I can flail, but I can get back up again. And I can learn from that.
I totally agree with you on that. And your example about learning to run and learning to walk when you're a small child, I'm wondering, now that you brought it up, is if our world sort of made it way too easy for us, and we forgot that failing, sometimes when you fail, you learn as much as you do when you succeed.
Yeah.
Because when you fail, you're always looking at the positive things. What did I learn from this?
Yeah.
What did I do well? And how can I improve and how can I grow? So that's interesting that you actually, because if you think about it, we've created a society where we've had these built-in safety mechanisms like training wheels on a bicycle,
Yeah, that's right.
right?
Yeah.
When the whole point, the whole gist of learning to ride a bike is all about balance.
Yeah. We don't like to see each other suffer either.
No,
So we
no.
sometimes come in and scoop people up before they even have a chance to fail.
Yes.
But,
Yes, because
but
our intentions are honorable, but I think we've
yes,
taken away an important learning mechanism.
yes. Not to mention though, the other part of it is that society doesn't look upon failure as um, positive. So
No,
a lot of our world puts people down if they fail. Oh, well,
absolutely.
look at you. You just weren't good enough then. Instead of embracing the fact that we all fail. And in fact, so many people in our past have failed and become what,
Oh,
scientists and
yes.
world changers because of it.
I was just chatting with a friend yesterday about the Olympics and how Olympian athletes, I think, is a perfect example of that, where
Yeah.
these athletes will sometimes spend their whole lives
Yeah.
perfecting the sport they're in, only to end up losing.
Oh, yeah.
And the percentage of athletes that actually win in the Olympics is so small
Yeah.
that I think the rest of the athletes actually have been doing the very thing that you've been chatting about, is learning off their failures, learning how to improve.
Right.
And so, I mean, it's happening in our society. We just don't think about it or validate it as much. But that's, to me, that's a good example, because they're not actually doing it for the money. They're doing it to better themselves, and that passion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. A
Yeah.
very good point, actually.
Yeah. So if we could embrace our failures, embrace our suffering, and really celebrate it. I mean, even though it feels dark and it feels rough
Yes,
but celebrating that moment, that the opportunity that it's giving us to really
yes,
get to know ourselves and to figure out what's important and to figure out how we have the skills and the strengths to get through it. I think, you know, suffering wouldn't be so scary. Um, Difficult times we wouldn't try to avoid or deny them so much. We might even invite them in. Oh, and I heard an author say, trouble came knocking at my door. So I invited it in and said, sit down. What can you teach me today?
that's a great
Love it.
quote. That's great. Do you know who
Love
that's by?
it. Glennon Doyle Melton. Glennon Doyle.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's
Yeah.
perfect,
She
actually.
wrote a book called, she wrote 3 books and I can't remember which one it was from, but it was, she wrote a book called Carry On Warrior.
Oh,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that's such a good lesson.
Yeah. It's a good one.
Yeah, good.
So what if we were to focus in on some of our, everyday blessings and do a mindfulness, just focusing in on an everyday act
I think
like
that's great.
eating. We
That's
all,
perfect.
we all eat every day and we
We
are
do.
nourished by what we eat, the healthy stuff.
And some of us love to eat.
And some of us love to eat. Yes, that's right. And so, what if we just do a mindfulness that focuses in on our senses and how we can really just immerse ourselves in the experience of eating?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Cool. So you've brought something,
I
um,
have. I brought my apple.
an apple to nourish you as we move through this this mindfulness exercise, and I've brought a blueberry, a tiny little, blueberry taken for granted, popped in my mouth, swallowed, forgotten about. But today
Yes.
we're really going to take our time to immerse ourselves in the blessing of food. And I'm going to use all 5 senses. And
Okay.
I'm going to say to folks that this is going to be a longer process than you normally use to eat. And we'll have the urge to just pop it in our mouth and chew it, but we're going to try to work with that urge, acknowledging that urge without acting on that urge, which is also a neat experience for, you know, um, those of us who tend to have an emotion and act on it. This is a way to teach ourselves to notice an urge, acknowledge it, thank our bodies for bringing it to our attention, and not acting on it or not following it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah, all right. So first, holding your blueberry, your apple, whatever you've brought to this mindfulness, whatever piece of food you've brought, just holding it in your hand and feeling it in your palm, in your fingers. So rolling it around as much as you can and feeling it, noticing, what does it feel like? Is it hard or squishy, smooth or rough? Sometimes pieces of fruit have rough spots on them, and just exploring that a little bit more. My blueberry is a bit squishy in parts, softer on one side than the others. Just feeling that against your skin. Is it cold or warm? Did your apple come out of the fridge?
No, but it feels actually kind of cool.
It does,
Nice
eh?
to touch.
Yeah, kind of interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so exploring it with your touch. And then this one might be an odd one, but I'm going to get you to smell. Smell your
Oh,
fruit. Do you smell?
oh, absolutely.
What do you smell?
Crispness. It smells crisp.
Okay.
Apples, I always think of apples, they smell crisp.
Yeah. Mine mine reminds me of the smell that I would have in a field full of fruit.
Yeah,
You know, it smells kind of fragrant, sweet, and outdoorsy, even though it's probably been a long time since this blueberry was outdoors.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is also a weird one, but give it a try. What can you hear as you roll your fruit around in your hands? So as I rub it with my finger, I hear something. Do you hear anything?
Yes, I do actually. I do this all the time with apples. I listen to the crispness, right? There's a sound. Hi,
Yeah.
Sonny.
Yeah.
Sonny, come to visit us again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear it, especially as I rub the part where the stem was. And you know, even if I push a little harder, I can feel I can hear the moistness inside. I can hear the flesh rubbing against the inner fruit.
Yes.
That's quite moist in there. Squishy.
Yes, and you know if you bite into it, it's going to burst.
Are you feeling the urge to bite into it yet?
Oh, yes.
Is it?
When I was young, we used to go pick blueberries all the time.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was one of my favorite activities.
Right? One in the box or one
Yes.
in the pail, one in my mouth. Two in
One
the
in your
pail, two
mouth.
in my
Yes, all the time.
Yeah, that's
Remember
right.
that?
Loved it. Loved it. And
Yes.
when it was warm because it was heated from the sun.
Yeah.
Oh, the best kind of fruit. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Isn't
And
it
the
funny how
color.
these memories are coming back and it's just
They do, and they're really they're very positive. Those are memories that you remember forever, right?
yeah.
Is how that felt to go picking fruit, and we took it for granted then, but how really nowadays there's some people that never ever have that opportunity. So
I know.
I love going out and picking wild fruit.
Me too. Yeah. But you know, I love that the memory that you're having gives you kind of an imagination mindfulness, kind of like that vacation mindfulness that we took
Oh
last
yes,
week,
yeah,
you know, and it just gives
yeah.
your brain that break,
And it
remembering.
uses all the senses, right? It's the feeling of it, the crispness, the feeling of, I don't know how to describe it, but it's nice just hanging on to it in my hand.
Yes. Yeah.
It's that shape, I think, right?
Comforting, the
Yes,
familiarity of it.
yes,
The assurance too that it's yours, that it will be nourishing you.
yes.
Yeah.
And it's that connection, I think, to nature too, right? I think that's the beauty of having your own garden, right? And watching the
Yeah.
plants grow and then harvesting them, and realizing there's that connection to the earth that's so important, right?
So cool.
And in this day
Yes.
and age, we get all our food either delivered or we go to the grocery shop, but we don't actually get to go to the source,
Yes. That's
which
right.
is missing. And I think that's why I think gardens are such a great idea.
Yes. Yeah. They're so sensory as well.
Yes, very sensory. The smell of it.
So taking a look now, the sensory of sight, the sense of sight, I should say, taking a look at your fruit and just looking at it. Mine is so shiny. You know, I don't know why they call it a blueberry because it looks more deep purple or black.
Almost, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Looking
Yes.
at
And the apple is such a vibrant color of red,
shiny too.
very shiny.
Yeah.
Shiny and red, such a pleasant color.
Yeah. And circular, spherical or
Yes.
spherical. Mm-hmm.
It also makes you really appreciate nature and see the beauty of it, right? That it can actually create something as beautiful as a piece of fruit or vegetable.
Yes.
Or you were talking about lilies and,
Yes.
and how beauty it's such a miracle of nature that it can create something as beautiful as that.
Like all it needs is sun, water, and earth.
Yep.
That's amazing to me. And then it just grows.
Yep. It's
Yeah.
so important to have those conditions, all right?
Yeah. So let's take a bite. This is the moment we've been waiting for. And as you take a
Okay.
bite, I really want you to focus on the tastes, noticing what part of your mouth feels it or tastes it first, and how it, works around in your mouth. Let's give it a
Sure.
try. Chewing slowly, noticing every little bit about your tongue, noticing how the pieces might roll around behind your teeth or into your cheeks. Noticing which side of your mouth you chew with first. So which side does the food go to kind of automatically? Noticing as
Mm.
the bit of fruit goes to the top of your mouth, how it creates flavor or a sensation there. And then at what point do you have the urge to swallow? And what's happening as you do that? Where's the flavor going? Where's the sensation of the bulk of the fruit moving to?
Mm-hmm.
And what's that like for you?
I find biting into an apple just almost like an explosion.
Yeah.
Taste. And
Yeah.
the texture of chewing on it just increases that taste.
Yes.
And you almost don't want to swallow because you want to sort of have that continue having that taste. Hence, you end up having another bite.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And for me, the better the apple is the better the crunch
Yes.
and the lift off. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And again, it's funny how something like when you use a descriptive word like crisp,
Yeah.
how it actually can involve all the senses.
Yes, it can.
Right. So just biting into it, biting into a crisp apple is just an entirely different experience.
Yes. And I also like that, just like with every mindfulness that we go through, it's about describing it in descriptive terms, not judgmental.
Yes.
So it's not yum or yuck. It's not good or bad. It's crispy or sour or
Yes.
sweet. And that's really descriptive. And so that's just, allowing that judgment piece to not be part of the picture and just
Mm-hmm.
seeing it and experiencing for what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an interesting point, right? Being not judgmental.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if we do that, if we just look at things that we really enjoy from an emotional perspective and don't even have any judgment take
Yeah.
part in that.
That's right. Yes. And the
So
suffering piece too.
yeah,
So just seeing the pandemic, the quarantine, the self-isolation, the struggle for what it is, as opposed to putting judgments on it, like,
yeah,
oh, really bad, oh, getting worse. Those judgments, they just cause our emotions to sometimes take over, which isn't helpful. We need to have a balance between our emotions and our thoughts. So just
yeah.
continuing to see it as it is and using descriptive words rather than judgmental words.
No, that's a really good point. Thanks. Thanks for
Yeah,
bringing that up. Because
yeah.
I never thought about it, but we never really describe an apple in judgmental terms,
That's true, right? Yeah, yeah,
right? We always talk about the positive, and yeah, I think that's a good idea to just withhold judgment.
yeah,
Maybe that's a good lesson that we all need to follow is just, pause for a second and try to withhold that judgment until you actually see for what it is.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So hopefully this mindfulness, this video today has helped people to come to a place where they can be more open to that and maybe give it a try this week.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a great idea. Good.
awesome.
I
Well,
can
thanks
use it
for,
almost on a daily basis.
yeah, you betcha. Thanks for joining me for this active mindfulness, this mindful eating exercise, Steve.
Oh, you're welcome. Cheers to you, Melanie.
Yeah, cheers to you as
Enjoy
well.
your week.
You
Bye
too,
bye.
Steve. I'll see you next Monday.
Okay.
Bye-bye, everybody.